RWTH Aachen University is a top-ranked university in Europe and I think in the world.
The strength of RWTH Aachen University is its interdisciplinarity. We have a lot of different institutions, a lot of different faculties, and they all work together.
There are strong bonds with industry and research partners, and it was great to build that kind of network here.
I think the atmosphere is good and the teachers are nice and the students, they are friendly and love to sharing, and I make some friends, and that's the most important.
So at the end, this would make me more comfortable facing new challenges, or like at least not having the fear to face challenges.
He said it would be a tough and challenging program, but if I work hard, I will be qualified for many disciplines in my field, and I will be miles ahead of others. So I decided, okay, I want to do it.
In these 2 years, I was like so much pushed. Then I'm now like more stronger than before.
Every day you will encounter new problems, you will find new challenges, but also be able to realize new solutions. Together we will be able to develop your career path.
Fulfill any dream you'd have, yes, by simply coming to Aachen.
Let's start today. Come to RWTH Aachen University.
Exactly. Come to RWTH Aachen University, and actually that last person you just saw is here with me in the studio, and we're going to have a conversation with Professor Dr. Kemper from the Center for Wind and Earthquake Engineering. So this is just a quick heads up. Welcome to everyone. We are going to start this quick session, 30-minute webinar, to give you an impression of who the people are if you decide to come here to RWTH Aachen University and its International Academy. So our motto today is, "You'll never walk alone." Sounds familiar? I bet. So you're going to meet a professor, also your possible peers and mentors behind your journey. So once you decide, yes, I definitely want to go abroad, I choose Germany, and I want to be at RWTH International Academy, this is what you can expect. And we want to give you these impressions, which is part of an ongoing webinar series. My name is Melanie Ostfeld, and you can always reach out to get in contact and receive some information in case you want to apply. Okay, so let's have a look and put all of this into the context. We're in our From Dream to Degree Master Your Future in Germany info sessions. Now we talk about the people, the community building, what you can expect when you come to Germany and be part of our environment here, of our ecosystem. And then next week we are going to dive deeper into the different programs. So we're going to have different students here. We talk about the different engineering programs, which are a lot, and also have another session, 30 minutes, about the MPA, Master of Public Administration, European Studies. So then you can ask your questions. In case you have some today, feel free to write them into the chat box. My colleague Sophia from Intake is here to attend you guys and give you all the links you might need. You can see also this QR code right now. Feel free to scan that or use the link that's dropped in the chat, because you can leave your email address, your contact information. We don't need that much of you. It's a quick poll just for us to be able to send you the presentation afterwards and see what exactly could be your perfect match. So feel free to do so. And then obviously we're also going to talk about how you can apply and be part of what we have here. But now let's dive a little deeper and see RWTH International Academy. What is that? It's the official institution for further education of RWTH Aachen University. The university itself is public, and it's part of the 11 universities that are elected by the state, by the government, as universities of excellence. which means that they're really excellent in different clusters they focus on. In our case, we stand out in mechanical, aeronautical, manufacturing, engineering. At least that's what the QS World Ranking says. So obviously, you guys can be part of that excellence. If you want to know more, go back to the YouTube webinars. We already talked a lot about the ecosystem here at the university and where exactly you can find this excellence. So, in case you're looking for a high-end master's degree, these are your options. If you have a background in mechanics, maybe automotive engineering, automation, mechatronics, industrial engineering, these kinds of bachelor's degrees are valid to apply for the dark blue programs. And if you're a civil engineer, then we have Professor Kemper here today, who is also teaching in our Resilient Civil Engineering Master's degree. Then for everyone who comes out of a STEM bachelor's degree, you might think about doing research and knowing more about battery production. And for any person from any kind of field, if you make us see how much you want to dive into the European Union, its policies and climate and digitalization, then you can apply for the MPA European Studies. All of that, once again, in the deep dives, we explain way more about each and every program, but today it's about the people. So, just a quick heads up, I forgot about that. March 1st, it is approaching, and you might want to send in your application. So if after this session you see, yes, actually it convinces me, I want to do the next step, feel free to send an email and get in contact, and we talk about what you need in your case, because EU candidates, so people who have a nationality from the European Union or a German degree, can apply until a little later. Okay, so now let's talk about what going abroad actually implies. Obviously, you don't want to be alone. It's going to be all about the people you meet, the communities you build up and are part of, and the support you receive. And here at RWTH International Academy, we have very wonderful people who will be there for you each step of the way. In the region, which is called North Rhine-Westphalia, you have a lot of international students, so you're definitely not alone. But what is the situation right here? You might wonder. How do connections turn into professional networks? So what do I get out of this? Who supports me when I really need it? And will I really belong at that technical university? Spoiler alert, we think yes, you can feel like you belong, because we have the ecosystem to surround you, to support you, and feel at home. And this is my first cue to walk over and introduce to you Professor Dr. Kemper from the Center for Wind and Earthquake Engineering. Hello, Professor Kemper, it's so nice to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me, and hello to everyone.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the relationship that you guys as the professors and teachers have with your students. How would you describe it?
So I think, first of all, it is important to know that in all the countries worldwide, the academic system works a little bit different. In our case, we have this system which is dealing with research on the one hand and with teaching on the other hand, but this is interfering. And for us, that means that what we are exploring in research, we transfer directly to teaching, and we also want to discuss that with the students. So for us, it's very important to update what we are teaching, because that is part of our current work. And we also want to know about the opinions of the students. And sometimes we also let them somehow drive the direction where we should focus on more in teaching. Yeah, sometimes we have, for example, I do one lecture which is called Wind Engineering, and we had one new part in that which is computational wind engineering, so computer data usage and numerical simulations. And the students were very interested in that, and that's why we developed a new program, in fact, to have an additional offer just based on that demand. So we really want this exchange And teaching for us is never just top down. It is really on both sides learning from each other. That's my philosophy, at least.
Okay, yeah, that sounds wonderful. So actually, this is part of what collaboration looks like at your institutes. Do you have students who work there with you too, or is it only at the PhD level? How does that work?
Yeah. I mean, for that, we need to see how research is done here. So when we are not teaching as professors, then we are working in the research team, with the research part. That means doing experiments or doing numerical simulations. And there is, of course, a team. So we have research assistants. Most of these research assistants have been student assistants before, mostly also in our surroundings. So we already got to know each other in that period. And I think that is really of value, because then both sides can already know, is that a good match for further collaboration? And that means, we have students assistants, I think 1-to-1 compared to the research assistants, which is then the next level for them, the PhD candidates. So
we're talking paid jobs in both cases, aren't we?
Yeah, paid jobs, exactly. So normally the students, they have the opportunity to do a job besides of studying, but that is not only for money, which is good, of course, to support the living abroad, but it is also bringing you inside of the academic field and getting more involved, and you can directly bring in what you are learning. So I think it's double advantage, and for us it's advantage as well.
That sounds great. Okay, so what advice would you give to anyone who might be hesitant at the beginning, feels like they maybe shouldn't approach you as the teachers, is a little bit shy? How do you feel like they can cope with that situation?
I think the recommendation would be like I would recommend in a lot of situations, just give it a try first. Yeah, so a first try normally does not hurt. And I think we are very much aware of the situations of the students coming from abroad. Of course, there is a lot of things they need to cope with, get familiar with. So that's why, as far as I know, all of my colleagues, we are really open then to explain also with respect to the surrounding, the daily needs for living, for example. You can always address that. I was abroad myself several times in the US and China for longer periods. So it's normal that you need some kind of support. You cannot know everything, and things are working a little bit different. And people are happy to support you with that. That's definitely my experience. So please don't be shy, and not only for such circumstances, also with respect to, let's say, topics you want to learn more in detail. Just ask. That's always a good recommendation.
Okay, that sounds good. Now let's go even to the worst case scenario. Yeah. What if a student is struggling with the academic parts that you obviously need them to look into? So what usually happens in that case?
I think what is most helpful in these cases is a specific network that everyone should form. So you won't be the only student in the study program for sure. So you should form a good relation with your student mates. And also we have a lot of offer from the university, for example, in sports. We have really great sport facilities here, which I really can highly recommend. So you can also meet people out of your study program, but they will have same issues and same problems. And they hopefully will have also good recommendations for you, what you can try, who you can ask, who might provide support. We have an international office, for example, but you need to know about that. So if you are in communication, then I think you really will get support.
That's beautiful. Okay, so when you observe the students and they're here for 2 years, you obviously get to know them a little better. So what do you think, how do they find their people?
I think most works with hobbies and clubs. So sports is one. There are other offers from the university. There are also offers out of the university. So I think it's also good to have some kind of social network besides of doing studying. So you also should take your time to explore the surrounding and the nice neighborhood that we have around Aachen. And also maybe sightseeing in nearby European cities. You have definitely the opportunity to meet peers with same interests. I'm perfectly sure about that. We have 50,000 students, more or less, in the city with 250,000 residents. So 20% more or less are in the same role. Yeah, so it will work out. I'm pretty optimistic.
That's cool, yes. Okay, so since you are part of our academic team that also teaches in the Master Resilient Civil Engineering program, how would you like to wrap this program up a little bit? What makes it unique?
Yeah, from my perspective, there was in the intro that you showed before, one of the colleagues mentioned that the RWTH Aachen is interdisciplinary, so that different fields are collaborating. Normally, most of the study programs, they are disciplinary. So they are focusing on the specific needs of that study program. For example, in civil engineering, that is then construction, mechanics, and what you need to know about how to build a structure in a safe way. That's important. But what we do in resilient civil engineering is we do this interdisciplinary approach. So we have architects involved in that. So for the planning phase, what are we going to build? What makes sense to build? And where can we maybe renew existing structures, or where we really need to build something new? Because that's also with respect to energy efficiency and sustainability. So other perspectives come as we need to take them into account, especially in this study program. And that's what I really like about that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Kemper, for being here, for sharing your perspective. You guys, in case you have a special question, you might want to put it into the chat box. Maybe we can address it at the end and see if something comes up while we still have you here. Thank you so much. Also, please, Sophia, make sure you post the video from our introduction into the Resilient Civil Engineering Master, because it is such a beautiful program and you don't need the GRE test in that case, which is nice to still look into it, prepare for it on time, and send in your application if you like to. Okay, so circling back to what this webinar is about, the support. You can see our teachers are here. They are going to support you. They can even give you a job. I would actually ask you one final question, because I was just thinking about how a thesis in your institute could work.
Yeah.
Do students also work as a student, but do their research like in the last semester that they have? Is that a common thing to do here?
Yeah, that is a common thing. So normally, as I said, student assistant means already to be involved in research projects that we have ongoing. And of course, we also offer thesis work topics, and they are related in the same research that we are doing. So mostly it's a quite smooth transition. So you already have experience in that field from your study program, but also while working with us. And then it often really makes sense to do the master's thesis, for example, also in that topic. And I really like to see if that works out in the end, because again, that is a win-win situation for us as well, because it really contributes to the progress of the research project. So we have these examples. Also currently we have 2 student assistants from this program enrolled, and I think that's really a really good experience.
And if people would like to stay in research, how would their career go on?
As I said, mostly the transition is that path then.
Yeah.
So if then both sides decide afterwards, okay, that really makes sense, so that's a good match from a personal perspective, but also with respect to the technical skills and so on. And of course, we also need project funding. Yeah, we need money, so that's mostly my job to get the funding. But if we have then funding, then mostly we will look for the people that we already have in our surrounding. Before we look on the wide market, I always would prefer to have a look to these people first, because we know each other already. Yeah, so that definitely makes sense.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this is very important for you guys to know in case a career in research is something that you might want to think of. It's not only at this institute we are talking about right now. In every institute at RWTH Aachen University, they love to have you guys and get to know you, and then help you out when you want to be a PhD student and stay. So this could be a great option. And you can see networking obviously happens in different areas. So we have a short video to show you how that could look like from one of our past event and networking brunch. On this slide, you can see some big names, some companies that are really working closely with our RWTH institutes together. So even in case you want to make a career in the industry and find a great company to work for, we have the environment to support you and find that position. So let's get back to your individual situation as a student here. For many of you, the big question is what happens after graduation? How do people around you influence in that? Well, obviously we help you taking that next step. So you might want to think about your ideal career path. Do you want to return to your home country, move to another country, and start a career there, or stay here in Germany and work here? Obviously, in the industry, in research, or maybe even as an entrepreneur. For that, you might, again, watch one of the YouTube videos. We talked about how you could use the infrastructure here to become an entrepreneur and start your own business. But for now, I would like to start the conversation with two other special guests I have here with me today. Franziska von Meer is part of our career service management, and also we have a student here for you guys to actually see the perspective of someone who has lived through all of this. So welcome to both of you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. So Franziska,
yes.
Would you tell me, please, what are the main paths that students are considering when they study with us, and how do you support them?
Well, there can actually be divided into three main parts, which is, of course, industry. We saw some big names on the slides of companies. Then it's, of course, research, like Professor Kemper already mentioned, going into research, working on your PhD. That is a common path that is often taken, but also with regard to the whole entrepreneurship infrastructure here at RWTH, starting your own company can also be a career path that you can choose.
And what do you usually tell students who might be overwhelmed by all the options, who don't know how to start? What, if they approach you, what do you tell them?
Of course, we don't let students figure it out by themselves. We support them. That's basically what my job is about, supporting you with extracurricular courses, extracurricular events like you saw in the video before, but also webinars or in-person events where we invite the experts to tell you all about the career path. Or meeting a different company, there are various ways of how we support our students.
That's wonderful. And actually, we have you here, a student who actually has gone through all that process. Welcome. Would you introduce yourself a little bit? What have you studied? Where are you from? And what are you doing now?
Yeah. So I'm Saurav. I originally come from India, and I moved to Aachen 2.5 years ago to do my master's in smart production engineering. So I've done mechanical engineering, production engineering in my bachelor, and I recently finished my thesis and I've started working as an automation engineer right here in Aachen.
So you just graduated, basically.
Exactly, a couple of weeks ago.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When you first came here, think back, what was the moment where you felt, okay, now I feel like I belong here?
So I was very lucky enough to get a place at the student dorms, which meant that I had a lot of students who moved in with me basically on the same day, and they were figuring out stuff along with me. That was the biggest factor where I felt I'm not alone, and I have someone who can do all those things that I need to do with me, and that was the biggest help, I think.
Okay, and what do you think, how do people influence you like along the way? And now that you step out of this university environment, will they stay with you? What do you think?
I would hope so. They've been a great help and a pleasure to know. So what I felt is it can be a little hard navigating the bureaucracy in Germany at times.
Oh, yeah.
But a completely opposite picture comes from the university, where I've always found whenever I've had a question, either to the university or to the International Academy, the response has been a maximum of a day, most likely less than half a day. So that really tells me that there are people ready, sitting there out to support you, and that gives you confidence to explore new things, try out stuff.
Sounds great. Franziska, maybe you have a story you remember when you were able to help someone out in a difficult situation.
difficult situation. It's rather like being there to support the students. I mean, of course, difficult situations. We are kind of like the hub to guide you where to put, for example, a lot of our students experience, for example, I have questions with regard to visa. Of course, we support them and point them towards the right direction. That is, I would say, rather the support, kind of support that we give. We do have, of course, positive examples with regard to how we support our students during their career path. I always like the example of students graduating, working, and then coming back to us and yes, maybe also being an ambassador for the company.
Isn't that kind of the full circle moment we're living here right now?
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that, because you mentioned I should invite Parav. So
yeah,
Saurav.
Well,
No problem.
well, I just learned that little fact today, but I think it's a nice example for today. You saw the video of the networking brunch before to give you an impression of what events with us can look like. And one company we've invited that day, representatives for that company were there today. That's actually where Saurav is currently working at.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a success story here in live and in person. And that's always like very nice to hear also for us, because that shows us also how much impact our work actually has.
Mm-hmm. And when you think of Germany, you rather think that it all has to go the organized way. You send in your application and present yourself. That is one path. In your case, it seems like you got to know the company at one of the events, and now you work there. So how did that go?
So it was actually just like Franziska said. I got in touch with them at the networking brunch, and then I followed up with an email. And then the guys were happy to have me over for an interview, and things went well, I assume.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So what do you think, Franziska, is the way that you can support the next steps for everyone who is about to graduate? In this case, obviously, perfect. What are other ways to step out into the big world after graduation?
Well, of course, our connection does not have to end with you graduating. We do have an active alumni community where we are always developing new ways to reconnect for students to come back in as ambassadors, but also like to give orientation as well. That's the other side, not just like showing success stories, but also continuing the support, continuing to develop offers for them just with a little bit more with a little different perspective compared to current students, but still, the variety of offers is not just focused on students, but also onto our alumni as well.
Okay, and in a lot of our programs, we also have internships included. Saurav, would you have an advice for anyone who listens and thinks, okay, how would I even get to know German companies or find out where I could do my next steps? How was that for you?
So the biggest thing that we have in Aachen here is the Bonding Festival, which happens every November. That's the best place you get to know what companies are out there, what are they hiring for. And I also had a mandatory internship in my course, and I was lucky enough to do it at BMW in Munich. So I got to see another city, got to roam about in the Alps. That was a wonderful time. And I can say for sure that the RWTH is looked upon as a really good university, held in quite high regard compared to other interns that were there, even at the company. So I started off with an advantage compared to most others, I would say, in my application.
Okay. And Franziska, maybe to wrap this up, if you had to describe our community in one sentence, what would you say?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't want to say the wrong thing and a very inspiring thing, but
you can make
describing
it cheesy,
the community as ever evolving, welcoming, and supportive. That was 3 adjectives, but it can also be like a sentence. But I'm quite content with that, because that's what our community is and what it's going to be like.
Yeah, and we see that you actually do a great job and get people during their studies, like accompanying them on
Yes.
their way and also beyond.
Yeah.
So I wish you all the very best. Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
We are going to wrap this up with some short information. So, in case you feel like, okay, this conversation was way too quick, I need to know more, I've actually talked to Franziska in a podcast. So if you'd like to listen to that episode, there is an English episode. Don't be confused by the first minute, it's in Spanish, the intro, but then the conversation starts and we talk about the different options you might consider when you study and graduate here. Okay, so next time we can see each other again and talk more about your skills, your interests, and how you find your perfect match in one of our master's degree programs. We talk about the engineering ones and also about European studies. And then afterwards, you get all the hits and information you need to find a scholarship or your financing strategy and see how you can apply. So once again, make sure you make use of this QR code and leave your email address so you can receive all the updates and maybe even a heads up on certain scholarships. So that's always useful. And also remember, 1st of March is the application deadline. There will be more thorough introductions into the different programs afterwards, but you can see most of them are after the application deadline. But then you can get to know people like Professor Kemper who talk about their studies and make sure that you connect when you find your program here. And afterwards, obviously, we'll start the onboarding, start the community building process, and have you here for the next steps after admission, how you can find your way here, plan your stay, and also ask current students about all you need to know. So thank you very much. Have a nice day, evening, wherever you are, and see you next time. Thank you.